Cool.
Let's check it out.
All right.
I know where you live. I've seen your vlogs. You're gonna die tonight.
So, does Thailand have running water, or like, what's up with that situation? So, how much do plane tickets cost? I don't know where I live, and I don't know where I'm going, but how much does that cost, like, for real?
I've seen your Vietnam vlogs, and I too have traveled. And let me tell you, you should really think about your place within society. You know, you're just a bunch of overprivileged.
Dear Lynn and Noah, I'm a big fan of your vlogs. I've been watching you for years, and there's always been one question that I was hoping you'd address one day. That question is, how the f did you afford to travel for 2 years? I mean, seriously, how did you do it? How much did it all cost you? What the actual f? Just tell me already. Keep up the great work. Sincerely, your biggest fan.
Ha!
Ha!
Okay, mic works. Hello.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, so it's been, I think, about 2 months since our last video. Technically, it was last year.
So an entire year? Does that
Maybe.
work? How does
I
time
don't
travel
know how
work?
It works. Anyway. Yeah, so we want to kick off the new year by putting all the cards on the table and letting you know one of kind of the biggest things that we get asked is how do we fund our travels? How did we fund our travels? How much have we spent so far? I think it's slightly over 2 years of travel is what we did.
It's over 2 years, actually.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just like 2 years and 2 months or whatever that we were gone.
Over 2 years.
So we're going to answer that right now.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't internalize anything. I had to write it down. Hold on.
No big deal. Get your numbers.
By the numbers.
By the numbers. Here we go.
And here's a preface. Preface?
Preface?
Here's...
She's going to preface her statement.
Is it preface?
No, it's not preface.
Preface?
It's preface.
Preface.
Yes.
Here's a preface.
There you
by
go.
saying that these are ballpark figures. I love you guys, but I'm not going to dig into 2 years of all of our fundings, things that coming in, coming out, the whole thing. I'm just going to give you a ballpark. But I want you to know where we went, and at the very end, I'm going to tell you how much it cost. Ready?
Okay, here we go.
All right. We spent 12 days in Cambodia, 12 days in Hong Kong, 3 weeks in Japan, 1 month in Hawaii, few months in Seattle, maybe about 3.
Yeah.
1 month in South Korea, 1 month in China, 1 month in Mongolia, 1 month in Vietnam, 1 month in Myanmar or Burma, 3 months in Mexico, and we spent collectively an entire year in Thailand. Yeah.
Long
So
time.
if you're counting, that's 11 countries for 2 years, over 2 years.
Is that 11 countries?
That is 11 countries,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Someone might say Hong Kong's not, but if you go to mainland versus Hong Kong,
Yeah,
that's
right.
a different country
We're counting. Yeah, they got their own passports and money, and so we're counting Hong Kong.
Mainland and Hong Kong are 2 different places, so
Yeah,
they're 2 different countries to me. So that's 11 countries for 2 years. Not a lot, because we travel slow. That's what we like to do. But the final number is...
Ready?
2 years.
Okay, here we go.
51,000 USD. Or 25,500 per year. And when you heard that number, you're either one of 2 camps. You're holy shit, that's a lot of money because you travel yourself, or holy shit, that's nothing.
Yeah.
So if you're like, holy shit, that's so much. Well, first of all, we're a couple. We're an older couple. I like to not stay in dorm rooms, so we actually splurge a little bit on our accommodation. Sleep is incredibly important to me.
Yeah.
So instead of staying, like I said, in a $6 a night dorm room, I will have a private room with my husband where I can sleep with my husband and spread out.
Yeah.
And
have privacy.
Yeah. I really don't care about what goes down my gullet, what I eat, so I'll eat cheap, but we splurge on accommodation. That's, yeah, so it's your comfort level. That'll change, whatever.
But I think that's relative, right? Because, like, we do use dorms sometimes. I mean, when you have to, sometimes you just have to do it. But the problem with dorms is that for 2 people, if you're traveling as a couple, a single dorm bed, I mean, once you double that cost, you're basically paying for a mid-range kind of private room anyway.
Yes.
So it just makes sense to do it that way.
Right. Especially in Japan. Japan was like it's $20 a night
per
bed
Yeah.
in a dorm room, or I can just go on Airbnb, get an apartment for $40, and now I have an entire apartment.
Exactly.
So
it makes more sense that way.
it's truly your comfort level. So if you're in that camp, like, why did you do that? And that's so much money. Well, good for you. You spent less.
Yeah, some people do. They
do.
camp out and they do all kinds of crazy stuff. That's just
We're not
us.
that. That's not us. For the others who are like, that's nothing. I'm in that camp. I actually thought we would spend more than we did at home. Turns out, traveling for 2 years, we spent less traveling to these 11 countries
than maintaining a lifestyle
in
the
living
States.
in the States,
Yeah.
going to work 9 to 5.
So it's I think this number reflects, if you compare it to what some other travelers and bloggers might be doing, it's middle of the road. We didn't go as cheap as we could have, but we also didn't go overboard either. And I think we got a lot for our money, and it was an excellent time, and I wouldn't change a thing. So,
no regrets. Best years of our lives, actually.
Yeah. So we've covered how much we spent.
Yeah.
So how did we make this happen? This is a big one too.
Yeah. I wrote a blog post before we left detailing, in detail, exactly how we did it. It is sacrifice, and it takes years worth of sacrifice to do this, and it took us 3 years. It was actually 1 year of training our minds to, can we actually do this? Is this a thing? And being okay with having people say you're crazy, you're stupid, and getting our minds wrapped around that. That was an entire year. 2 years was spent going towards our debt.
Paying down debt and saving money.
For this trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
It might even be a little bit longer than 2 years. That's the thing. It's like this is, you look at the whole journey, which was 2 years of being gone, right? But then the lead up to that was it was longer than the actual trip. So not everybody does this kind of traveling, obviously. No. Most people only go for a couple weeks or maybe a month or two, and that's totally fine, and that's much easier to pull off. But if you were ever thinking about making that lifestyle redesign and like getting out there and traveling long term, it does take a long time to make it happen. Yeah. And I need to, in the spirit of like full disclosure, I had a high paying job before we left, which helped us pay down that debt, helped us save up pretty fast. So I don't want to, I don't like it sometimes when you hear, or hear somebody say, or you read an article and they say things that make it seem like it takes no time at all and it's super easy. It's not. It takes a lot of effort.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
You got to put in the hours and the time.
And if you're in a position where you don't have like a high paying job or like maybe a degree that's super in demand, there are other ways of doing it. Yeah. We just kind of chose our path because we wanted to have all of our time to ourselves. But people. They go out and they get jobs teaching, they volunteer, they house sit, they do workaway programs, woofing. There's a lot of options. Don't feel stuck or...
you don't have to live off your savings like we did.
Yeah, you don't have to do it like we did. There's other ways to do it. Yeah. It's totally possible. And so... I think that's very important to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Going back to the blog post, which I'll link down below, I just lay out everything. It's all in there, how we did it. Like I said, a lot of years of sacrifice and working. Once we got rid of our debt, Noah's income went strictly towards 100%, because we were living off of my receptionist salary for about... How many years?
A long time. It wasn't, so we were really living within our means and not buying anything, not buying like new clothes. And like, even when we were on the road, we never bought any souvenirs.
No.
Like they were
These are my souvenirs.
Yeah, they're all practical souvenirs, like a shirt.
Stanley Hutchrich, The Shining. Stanley Kubrick? How can I not walk away with a $1 shirt that says Stanley Hutchrich, which I love? That's my souvenir. These videos that we're making, these are our souvenirs. Yeah. So if you can save money in that sense, in that way, then, you automatically find time for more time on the road.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I quantify things now.
Yeah,
it's like
our relationship has changed.
With money,
with money, big time.
Yeah, for sure. So you think of things differently. You look at a thing that you might want to buy, that you're really tempted to buy.
An Xbox.
And, you start thinking, that might be a month somewhere, or maybe even half a month, or that, you start quantifying it in terms of how much freedom it will buy you, as opposed to what that thing is actually going to get you in the short term. Right, because gadgets, they go out of date really quickly. For me, it kind of wears off after a while.
That's just us.
You get a new phone and it's like really fun the first week, but then after that you're like, meh. And then it just ends up being a piece of crap a year later. So,
but that new phone that you saved could have gone towards a travel, or could go towards a travel fund, and that can $400 kept us. That was our.
That was a month of rent in Chiang Mai.
That was a month of rent in Chiang Mai. It's $400.
Puts it in perspective.
Phone or live somewhere kind of cool.
Yep.
You decide. Yeah.
So I think it's time to come full circle. The reason we're talking about this now also is because we have a huge announcement to make, and that is that for the next year, starting tomorrow, we are going to be here in Seattle. I'm going back to work so we can save some money. And
for a year.
Yep, for a year.
A contractor position for 1 year. Yeah.
So that kind of answers the question, how are we funding these travels? Some people go out there and they make money while they're traveling, which is awesome. I haven't figured that out yet. Some people start blogs and they can make money doing blogs. For us, it just never worked out that way. So the way we were kind of doing it is...
we're not broke, just so you know, in case you were curious.
Yeah, that's important, because if you do decide to do like long-term travel, you want to make sure that you
have that cushion.
You carve out a piece of your savings that's strictly for coming back home. We left with a certain amount, and we're like, once we get kind of to this spot, it's time to come home and figure something out, because you don't want to come back home with like nothing. And so that's what happened. We got close to that threshold. It was time to come back home, reassess. And so this is how we're funding it. I'm just going to go back to work. I'm taking a year contracting position with a company, and I'm very fortunate for that opportunity. So we're just going to run with it, and save some money. And
an offer we can't refuse, build it back up, and go back out.
Yes.
I've got another few years left in me of adventure and just our time, which I absolutely loved. This will be a weird transition because I've had Noah for 24/7, 365. It's going to be weird and different.
It'll be weird, but we'll take you along for the ride.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as like the channel content too, nothing has changed. The last couple of weeks we've been really busy.
Sorry. Camp Media is actually picking up.
Yeah, our little company, like, we're actually getting some work.
Yeah. Music videos. Plural.
Yeah.
So that's happening. Some editing work, which is great, and we're amazed by. So that's happening, but we still have tons of stuff.
And our Myanmar stuff is being worked on right now too. So we have lots of plans to continue producing content this next year.
This ain't over. What's so great about this is I know this time what we're buying. Before the years and years of like, I'm socking this away and we're gonna go, and it sounds romantic, but what's gonna be crazy? And someone tells I'm crazy and I'm stupid for doing this. Am I crazy? And all the regret, all the doubt, all the people saying we're stupid. And it was the best years of my life. And this time, I know exactly what's waiting for me on the other side. I know exactly what I'm buying. No fear. No regrets. I'm doing it again. Yeah. We're doing this again.
I think it's important, too, actually, the saving process, if you do something like this, is part of the journey, too, because what it allows you to do is really build your excitement to, like, a fever pitch, to where by the end of, your saving cycle, you're just so excited about what you're about to do that you can barely contain yourself. So it's like, I think to really enjoy something and appreciate it, you also have to go through a period of really working hard towards it. So it's more meaningful in the end.
So we're building up that travel stoke again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lived it, and we are so grateful and wonderful and just thankful for that time. But we got a little tired at the end. All the cards are on the table. We talked about that. And now we're committing to giving Washington State a year of our lives. And in doing so, at the end of that year, I cannot wait to get on the motorbike and just go again. Yeah. That building, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it again. So that's how we're doing it. On our savings, 2 years, $51,000 or $25,000 a year.
Roughly.
And
that's it.
That's how we did it.
And you just work hard. There's no magic bullet. We don't have a trust fund or anything like that. You just work your butt off and make it happen.
Yep. Goal, action, do. That's it.
I think that's about it.
You done?
I'm done.
We got to go to work.
So
He's got to go work tomorrow.
I got to work tomorrow.
Oh my
it's
God,
crazy.
Here we go.
All right. See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I've seen your vlogs. You're gonna die tonight.
Where I live, and I don't know where I'm going, but how much does that cost, like, for real?